Progressive revenue is what Washington needs, and we all know this.
Come on, you need to pay up, and we need to get our kids educated.
This legislation asks a simple question. Why not hold our law enforcement leaders to the highest standards of accountability and professionalism?
I felt that I had to run in order to survive because the abuse was continuous. And nobody would listen to me, nobody would come check on me.
If it gives Washington State a window to hold tech platforms accountable when kids are showing signs of addiction, yeah, I hope that it just continues.
There is less than a month left in the legislative session, and lawmakers in Olympia are still trying to figure out how to fix a $2 billion budget deficit. In this week's episode of In Session, we look at the push to pass a so-called millionaire's tax and why it's facing fierce opposition. We'll also look at a bill that just cleared a hurdle at the state capitol that could change who is allowed to serve as sheriff. And we'll explain how the state is taking on big tech, accusing companies of using addictive algorithms that target kids. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Christine Pei. Well, hundreds of people gathered in Olympia this week to support the proposed millionaire's tax. As King 5's Connor Board explains, lawmakers on both sides are calling this one of the biggest bills in decades.
2, 4, 6, 8. It's a call for a more progressive tax system by union members and some state lawmakers.
How do we pay for our paramount duty? It is by fixing our regressive tax code.
The bill, dubbed the millionaire's tax, would create a 9.9% income tax on households that make more than $1 million per year. It would create $3.7 billion per year in revenue, money that retired teachers say is needed.
Come on, you need to pay up, and we need to get our kids educated, because how are they going to be the workers of the future if they're not? It's super important.
It would also reduce some taxes for small businesses, expand the working family's tax credit, and eliminate the sales tax on hygiene items, among other things.
We all are being hurt the same way. Progressive revenue is what Washington needs, and we all know this. Labor is behind progressive revenue. We know that people that are rich need to be paying their fair share.
Maybe the biggest bill of the decade.
Republican lawmakers met Tuesday. They share concerns that if this becomes law, it could pave the way for an expanded income tax in the future, affecting far more people. At a public hearing last week, opponents said the tax would harm businesses and lead to job losses.
While this proposal is framed as targeting high earners, we're concerned about the real-world impacts on small and medium-sized businesses, organized like S-corps, LLCs, and other pass-through entities.
Just the past 2 weeks, I've heard from directly or listened or heard about over 50 couples who have already in the process of or soon to be changing their domicile out of this state.
Millionaires, pay your due!
But those in favor, including Democratic House Speaker Lori Jenkins, are hopeful it will pass.
We will be able to walk across the finish line, get this to the governor, and have the support of the people in Washington State.
The next hurdle for this bill will be a vote on the Senate floor. A spokesperson told King 5 that vote is not expected to happen this week. In Olympia, Connor Board, King 5 News.
As state lawmakers look at raising taxes and finding ways to save money to balance the budget, one potential money saver has child abuse survivors speaking out. Olympia Bureau Chief Drew Mickelson joins us from the Capitol now. So, Drew, one proposal could make it harder to hold the state accountable.
That's what people are telling us here at the Capitol. Hi, Christine. The backers of this tort reform bill say that this would save the state millions in court fees every year. But those who were abused in state-run facilities or foster homes fear that the legislature is trying to balance the budget on the backs of victims.
There's one that tortured us, sexually abused us.
Jenny doesn't want her last name revealed, but she wants her story told. She was raised in abusive foster homes.
It was physical, it was sexual, it was so bad that when I was 13, I started running away again to the streets, and that is a whole nother lifestyle that I can't believe I survived.
More than 20 years after that repeated abuse and neglect, she sued the state and last year settled for an undisclosed amount. She also got an apology.
It really, like that little girl, it was that little girl saying, "I'm sorry," you know?
She was saying?
Yes.
She was saying sorry.
Yes, that we failed you, and that meant a lot to me.
The state of Washington paid out an estimated $500 million from lawsuits alleging abuse from foster homes to juvenile detention centers just last year. Survivor advocates are concerned about legislation to change the way the state handles those kinds of complaints.
We provide the most level of accountability in the country, and that is going to continue to happen.
State Senator Manka Dhingra has proposed sending all civil complaints to arbitrators first as a way to prevent cases from going to jury trials, potentially saving millions in legal fees. Dhingra says that would result in quicker settlements for victims while still holding the state accountable.
I think it is important for the public to know what has happened in the state, but you have to balance that with making sure that our schools, our cities, our counties, our state are also fiscally responsible.
I can say that I finally have my forever home.
Jenny's speaking out against the proposal because she fears adding a step to the process might prevent those who were abused from getting what they deserve.
I hope that I can save, again, another Jenny, another lady sitting there that didn't know, that, just assumed that this was her life, and somebody says, hey, actually it's not.
Senator Dhingra says this would also protect victims in one way because they wouldn't have to testify in a trial if it gets to that point, and might make them or prevent them from having to open up about what happened in open court. But their advocates say that's a good thing sometimes because that's the best way for the state to be held accountable in the court of public opinion, and also prevents the state from maybe hiding some of the things that went on in these facilities. This bill did pass out of a Senate committee, still remains alive. We'll keep an eye on it here in the second half of this legislative session. Christine?
Andrew, the Senate had quite the debate regarding a controversial bill regarding who can be a sheriff in the state of Washington. What can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, this is one that sheriffs, they hate it, and so do Republicans, but still it did get out of the Senate floor on Thursday afternoon. No Republicans voted for it. They didn't have to because the Democrats hold a majority there. Under this proposal, before someone can run for sheriff, they need to pass a background check, not have any prior gross misdemeanors or felonies, and they would need at least 5 years of prior law enforcement experience. And if the state's Criminal Justice Training Commission decertifies a sheriff, local jurisdictions would have to force those sheriffs to leave office.
This legislation asks a simple question. Why not hold our law enforcement leaders to the highest standards of accountability and professionalism? Mr. President, our laws must be updated to make clear that what occurs when law enforcement leaders' certification is revoked for misconduct.
People want to trust, whether it's their sheriff, their sheriff's deputy, their police chief, or any law enforcement officer that they interact with on a daily basis. But Mr. President, we've got a problem. We have a problem where some of the folks that we have entrusted to uphold the law are refusing to follow it, are flagrantly refusing to follow it, are bragging about not following it. And it is causing corrosive issues in our society, Mr. President, and all through our communities, and certainly in mine. And this isn't about any particularly unpopular sheriff, Mr. President. This actually was a conversation that was going on well before, might I dare, my current unpopular elected sheriff, Mr. President. This is a bill that we have been talking about actually for a couple of years.
Senator Trudeau is talking about Pierce County Sheriff Keith Swank, and during public testimony on this bill last month, he said he didn't recognize the authority of the state Senate, and if they tried to kick him out of office, he would refuse to leave, and he said he would have the backing of thousands of Pierce County residents. Republicans, during that debate on Thursday, they came out saying that sheriffs, the only people who should be able to kick them out of office are the voters who put them in.
I know that we're not always the smartest, the most well-schooled, or the relied on to be the most intelligent portion of this body. But Mr. President, we take our ability to elect our law enforcement pretty seriously. And we take the ability to unelect them pretty seriously. Why? Because we trust them. We trust them to do what they say. And that means a lot out in the country.
That creates more angst and more division and more chaos, and really doesn't respect that we all come from different places. We are a wonderfully beautiful, diverse state, Mr. President. And this bill, to me, gets right in the middle of that.
If you don't like somebody, you have the power of recall. And that's the effort I believe that one should lead in their respective community. If you don't think the person that's doing the job is qualified or is broken the trust, then lead that recall effort. Be a leader in the community. You have that right to do that, and it needs to be exercised.
The bill now heads to the House. If it ends up becoming law, at least one sheriff would no longer be qualified to hold office. Pacific County Sheriff Daniel Garcia, he had no prior law enforcement experience when he was elected in a write-in campaign. There was an amendment brought up by the Republicans to allow sheriffs like that to remain in office, but the Democrats voted it down. Christine?
Drew, thank you. We're going to be checking back with you in just a few minutes. Also in discussion right now, the state of Washington is taking aim at big tech, accusing companies like TikTok and Snapchat of feeding addictive and harmful, even life-threatening algorithms to kids. King 5's Madeline Carter spoke to a local big tech insider who says companies are aware of the risks but are putting profits over safety.
So it's got these baby pictures.
At home in Olympia,
Very embarrassing photos of myself.
Aaron Ping sifts through snapshots of his best friend,
We'd go mountain biking a lot together, hiking, traveling.
his son, Avery.
All these cute pictures of him and my niece, playing with wooden toys. And, it's not a screen-filled childhood.
But then, as a teen, Aaron says the apps on Avery's phone started consuming his life. Snapchat streaks, keeping up with every message, post, and story from friends. His dad says the more he scrolled, the more isolated he felt.
It's not really feel-good, happy content. A lot of it's pretty negative.
I don't know exactly how to put this into words, but
Aaron says anxiety and depression set in. Avery started searching for ways to feel better, and YouTube's algorithm began showing him videos about Molly, a drug some content creators claim can improve mental health. In December 2024, at just 16, Avery bought what he thought was Molly from a drug dealer on Snapchat. It wasn't. It was meth and fentanyl.
This is, 2 months before he died, his soccer picture.
In the year since his overdose, Aaron says there's no doubt what caused his son's death.
Social media killed my son, and in a lot of ways took him away from me before he died.
Aaron believes Avery had become an addict,
It's more addictive than drugs.
and that companies that churn out social media content knew exactly how to prey upon his child.
There's predators lurking out there. There's algorithms that, are trained on compulsion and train teens to be more compulsive.
University of Washington researchers say tech companies' addictive algorithms are some of the most harmful features of social media. The programs learn what kids like and keep feeding them the content, on top of non-stop notifications.
We're so used to being bombarded with notifications on our smartphones, and Common Sense Media did the math. A 2023 study found teens received a median of 237 notifications per day. About 25% of those push notifications came during the school day, and 5% happened at night in the hours when teens were supposed to be sleeping.
and it can really have some dire consequences.
At the request of Attorney General Nick Brown, Washington lawmakers are taking on these companies. Lawmakers are introducing 2 bills this session titled Protecting Washington Children Online. If passed, they would ban addictive algorithms for users under 18 on social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube, and Snapchat. They would also block push notifications for minors between midnight and 6 a.m. and during school hours.
And any violations of this law would violate the Consumer Protection Act, and we would enforce it through civil investigation and civil enforcement.
If it gives Washington State a window to hold tech platforms accountable when kids are showing signs of addiction, I hope that it just continues.
Similar laws in states like California, New York, Utah, and Maryland are fueling national debate. Tech insiders say executives who run these platforms know what they are doing to kids, but are making the choice to look away.
I was part of building a company and an industry that profits off of harm to kids.
Kelly Stonelake was an executive at Meta for nearly 15 years.
And in 2022, I was on the leadership team for a product called Horizon Worlds and saw firsthand the blatant disregard for kids' safety to the degree of, actively covering up known harms to kids. Meta definitely hopes you click into one and just start watching.
Stonelake says social media companies could turn off manipulative features at any time.
What they really mean by value is time and engagement.
It's as simple as flipping a switch, but most won't do it.
It is extraordinarily easy. The hard part for them is that it's going to impact their profit.
She believes the bills in Olympia could be the first step in putting kids' well-being ahead of billions in earnings.
We just have corporations exploiting children's, developing minds.
I think it's important to do something. I think it is definitely the first step.
To spare other families from the heartbreak Aaron lives with every day.
And I feel like I died with him that day.
Avery.
I don't want anyone else to
Madeline Carter.
have to experience this.
King 5 News.
Next on In Session, trading politics for pride. How lawmakers are honoring the Seahawks after their big Super Bowl win.
Senate Resolution 8683, honoring the world champion Seattle Seahawks.
State lawmakers took a break from business to celebrate the Seahawks Super Bowl win. Several resolutions were introduced in the Senate and House to honor the team's extraordinary season. Olympia Bureau Chief Drew Mickelson is at the Capitol with what they had to say. Drew?
Yeah, Christine, finally something that everyone here can agree on, right? Everybody was on the bandwagon. I think there might be some closeted 49er fans, perhaps. Maybe somebody has a autographed Tom Brady something or other in their office, but nobody was talking about that this week. We saw the Seahawks gear on the Senate floor as they were backing this resolution, and it was unanimous. Everyone was speaking highly of the team and their great accomplishments.
Today, I'm proud to sponsor a resolution honoring the Seattle Seahawks for one of the most remarkable seasons in Washington state history.
I have watched, Mr. President, every game this year, every game last year. I watched as we got to the playoffs and defeated by tremendous points the San Francisco 49ers. And then we moved on to beat the Los Angeles Clams. And lastly, the New England Deflatriots.
That's some good old-fashioned trash talk there. Steve Rabel, the longtime play-by-play broadcaster for the Seahawks, was there. He got a standing ovation. He's been with the team since the beginning. He was on the inaugural team back in the 1970s. He was treated like a celebrity, the celebrity he is here. And lawmakers, they're not finished honoring the Seahawks this year. They know when it's a good thing, and they want to keep banging that drum. There is a resolution making its way here that would officially name every December 12th, so 12/12, the Day of the 12s. It would not be a paid holiday. You wouldn't get the day off work or school, but it would be officially on the books. I'm kind of surprised that hasn't already been something that lawmakers here have done, but they're working on making it official this year. I guess 2 Super Bowls will get you a special day on the calendar. Christine?
For sure, yeah, makes sense in honoring the 12s out there. And Drew, it really was a remarkable season. You were actually in California that week to cover the team at the Super Bowl. What an opportunity. What was that all like?
It was the greatest week. Photographer Tom Tedford and I drove down to Northern California. It was truly an assignment of a lifetime. Our goal going down there was basically to take the 12s along who couldn't make the trip. Maybe had school, maybe had work. It was not cheap. It's Northern California after all. But our hope was to let people see what was going on down there, what they were missing. And they missed a lot. I'll be honest with you. We spent the week looking for 12s, and it wasn't hard, especially by the end of the week. We saw them all over, whether I was on a cable car or down at the Ferry Building. 49er fans, of course, they were the host city. They weren't thrilled to see all the 12s rolling through and hearing the Seahawks chants at all of their landmarks. But, for the most part, they were pretty warm, gracious hosts, and I think it helped that the Patriots were the other team. That enabled everyone to spread the hate around a little bit. We actually got to watch most of the Super Bowl from up on the 300 level, but the highlight for me was after the game, we sat and sat outside one of the gates and just talked to fans as they were coming out. Everybody had huge smiles on their faces. There were people who were really confident, but nobody really knew that the game was going to be over until about midway through the fourth quarter. And the Hawks fans said it was so great to be down there, to witness it in person, especially at the 49ers stadium. So, Christine, we let down our viewers for In Session last week because we were a little further south than we usually are, but we are back and we'll be here for the rest of the session. I will admit, the people outside the stadium, they were a lot more eager to talk to us than some of the lawmakers we run into here, but that's part of our job.
Of course, I can only imagine. And also, Drew, that was your hometown, your old stomping grounds in San Francisco, so it was great to see all of your coverage.
Yeah, made it all the sweeter. Thank you.
All right. Okay, up next, we're going to go back to Drew Mickelson in Olympia for a look at what's to come next week during the session. With less than a month left in the legislative session, it will be a race now to get bills passed in Olympia. Olympia Bureau Chief Drew Mickelson joins us again with a look at what's to come, Drew.
Yeah, Christine, we've reached the point in the session where every week now there's a big cutoff deadline. Bills that don't pass before that deadline can end up dead. The controversial millionaires tax, though, we've been told that will have its vote, its day on the Senate floor sometime early in the week ahead of that deadline. And then once after that deadline passes on Tuesday, bills move from one chamber to the other, and the process starts all over again. For example, you remember that bill that passed out of the Senate prohibiting law enforcement from wearing masks or facial coverings? Well, it has a public hearing in the House on Wednesday. Passed out of the Senate on party lines, and you can probably expect the same to happen as it moves through the House of Representatives. Christine?
Andrew, another bill that I know you're watching closely. What about the bill to lower the state's threshold for drunk driving?
Yes, that one did also pass out of the Senate, so it will be taken up by the House in a hearing on Thursday, and that's a sign that it is progressing. The state could become the second in the country to consider a driver drunk with a 0.05 blood alcohol content level. Currently, it's set at 0.08. Utah is the only state currently at that lower level. This bill has repeatedly come up here, but it's controversial. Some say the state should be focused on those with higher BACs, tougher penalties for those drivers, or coming up with more funding for more state troopers. It's still not exactly clear if this bill has enough support in the House. We'll probably find out early or late next week. And Christine, the bill I know you're focused on, that state shark, it has passed out of committee, but it has not passed off the House floor yet. So the blunt-nosed six-gill shark may have to wait until next year to be named the official state shark of the state of Washington.
Okay.
We'll keep you posted.
The suspense. Thank you so much, Drew. We will check back in next week. Drew Mickelson reporting in Olympia. Thank you very much, as always. Well, we're going to be having, of course, more coverage of all the topics on the next In Session. And to see all of our coverage so far, text the word session to 206-448-4545, and we'll send you a link. Thank you very much for joining us. Until next time.